Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Dave Hilliard, and this is a free service of AVC Communications. If you would like to be a guest on Talk of the Town, you're part of a club or group, you need to get the word out about something, we would love to have you right here on Talk of the Town. Reach out to us at 740-432-5605. And we appreciate the Cambridge Area Chamber of Commerce hosting us today on Talk of the Town. Beautiful building, and we've put up cameras and wires, and we are trying to trip people as they walk in. So we certainly appreciate them letting us disrupt their workplace today. I am joined by Dixie Lacy, and I've got to get this right, Dixie. You're the sales manager for the Cambridge Guernsey County Visitor and Convention Bureau.
You got it.
I got it all out. And I am really interested in what you're here to talk about today because I'm still relatively new to the area. I moved here in 2019. And I live just across, I live in New Concord, but there is a marker for the National Road right outside the town. And of course, they started to fascinate me. And now I try to pay attention when I'm driving and I want to see where those are. So you have a big sign with you today too about the National Road. So tell us what's going on with you.
Well, had I known that, I would have brought a packet for you, but I'll get it to Gino or Joel with a lot of cool stuff. We physically are on the National Road, which was the first federally funded highway. So George Washington and Tom Jefferson knew we had to open wide the gates to the west because the Spanish and French were here before the Americans were. So that is a fascinating story. Also, you love history. You'll want to check out the Guernsey History Museum. They have one of 6 maps, rarest in the world, of the Northwest Territory in their hallway. So just an FYI.
Well, I will be checking that out. I'm a history buff, so I'm going to be checking that out.
Well, that's great. Just some things to kind of tell your listeners about our local residents, as well as those that live outside the county, or maybe someone's traveling through at a hotel and they hear this and they want to learn more. You can go online to the Ohio National Road Association. Click on that website. We just had it totally redone last year. It's gorgeous. So in the state of Ohio, there are 10 counties that are on the National Road. So I brought this so you can see. And then the National Road also started in Maryland and went clear to Vandalia, Illinois.
Cumberland, Maryland. See, I know that one. Okay.
And you can keep that. So it's fascinating. What happened was a couple different things. The Ohio Area Canal opened up the interior. The National Road opened up the interior. The National Road never closed any days of the year. So it's fascinating just to hear that in itself. If you think about the stagecoaches and even someone on horseback or on foot going up over those Appalachian Mountains, they're steep.
Exactly, yes.
But it opened up the gates to the west. And actually Charles Dickens, a lot of Europeans, Chinese, loved to come to America because we had the Wild West, the cowboys. And Charles Dickens actually said he had the best meal of his life on the National Road. He had a steak in Zanesville and fresh oysters from Maryland. Those fresh oysters would have come in on a stage. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
I just love stuff like that. So anyway, this is what I'm going to talk about today.
Right, the ribbon cutting here coming up on October 22nd.
Right. There are 2 markers, folks, that were actually some thoughtful person, when they were putting in I-70, gathered up these markers and took them to Licking County to the Ohio Historical Site. So they were outside behind a shed for years and years and years. So, as I mentioned, I'm past president of the Ohio National Road. Our current president, who's amazing, is from Licking County. And I said to Jim Young, I said, Jim, go over to the Earthworks, talk with Sarah Hinkleman and Emily to see if we'd be allowed to have a monthly meeting there. He's like, sure. So he went over, and it was just like, kind of God provides. He's walking around there, and our friend, Dan Motor, who's the executive director of the Licking County CVB, said, well, look over there, Jim. Those are from Guernsey.
Right.
So Jim calls me up. Did you know that? And I said, well, I remember seeing it in Cindy Gherkin's book. And so guess what? ODOT, High National Road, local people here, Tim up at City Park and Marty out at Guernsey County Fairgrounds, those guys and girls allowed us to bring the markers back and get them set in the ground.
And put where they're supposed to be.
Right. They would
Yes.
actually be, the real locations would be in I-70 under the road.
Right.
But they're as close to the road as we can
We
get.
can get them,
So
yes.
that's what that is.
And a lot of people, if you see those markers and you see one close to the road, I mean, when I'm going out to eat, I always see them.
Yes.
Can you tell everyone what the numbers are that are on there?
Right, you can.
Because some
And-
people don't know, they see the numbers and they're not sure what they mean.
Sure. And I have a book I'll bring to you to look at sometime at your convenience. Cindy Gherkin is a local Ohio resident, and she's written 4 books on the National Road. She's amazing. Unfortunately, her health isn't very great. She won't be able to come
Okay.
to these 2 ribbon cuttings,
Sure.
if you will, October 22nd. But the thing to remember with the mile markers, this was the first time we had a mapping system. So if you were going from Cumberland, Maryland to Cambridge, Ohio, one of the numbers would indicate how far it was to Cambridge. Another number would indicate how far it was to the end of the National Road
Right.
in Vandalia, Illinois.
Right.
So that's kind of what that was, because before that, you might have been in the Conestoga wagon with your wife and kids. You're coming along this road. You don't know where you're at.
Obviously, way before Google, as everyone would do now,
And-
yes.
And it's dark and you don't know where you're at. So they're in every so often. The other cool thing for you all to know is they would build the bridges 3 years ahead of the road.
Oh, okay.
The bridges were built ahead of it because they knew the path. And the road is amazing. It's kind of like the earthworks in Newark. It's amazing at how fantastic it is. I don't even know if we could do it today.
Yeah.
Just a lot of great history with that. So that's what the numbers indicate. Now, if you, and you're more than welcome, come to the dedication, October 22nd, that's at City Park. And then the same day at 12:30, Guernsey Fairgrounds.
Right.
You can look at those markers and then kind of read them.
Sure.
And this is really cool. The one that's out at the fairgrounds, one of the letters is upside down. So a lot of times people sculpted those that were undertakers.
Okay.
You know, they worked with stone.
Right.
And then David Deere, our local historian who we love, Dave is amazing. He knows train history. He actually and his team built a replica of a coal mine in the Guernsey History Museum.
Okay.
It's in one room, probably about as big as your office back here. But you have to stoop down to get in it because if you picked coal for 12 hours, you can't stand up.
Right.
You worked with your dad, your brother, no women in the mines. So Guernsey County had a plethora of mines.
Right.
Guernsey County did not get electric until the 1930s, but there was electric in the mines. So this ties in with the National Road because we wanted to get our goods and services out to the East Coast or up, if you will, on the High Erie Canal to
Sure.
Cleveland to ship out. What did we bring in? We brought in things we couldn't make from Europe, from Boston, and so on. If you love history and you read 2 years before the mast, it used to take 2 years to go from Boston around the Cape up to California, then California back.
Right.
And they would do that because they would bring back hides to make shoes. So the National Road was kind of like that, but we're so proud of it. And it goes
Sure.
right through our beautiful town of Cambridge, Ohio. So right now, you've got great representation. You have Matt Schley, who works for Don Mason in Zanesville, and he's a city planner, super nice young man. He and his wife live in Byesville. So I invited him onto the board a couple years ago because he has that planning mentality. Also, from your city here, you have Carrie Fritz. We invited her to join, and she's a real go-getter. She's going to be a great member. And then I'm the other designated person. We've got a great president this year. Invite you to come to any meetings. Memberships are inexpensive, but it's all about preservation of history.
And coming up again, we'll put this out one more time. Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024, 11 o'clock at the Cambridge City Park. That's one of the ribbon cuttings. There's another one at the Guernsey County Fairgrounds at 12:30. And thank you, Dixie, for joining us today. And if you'd like to be on Talk of the Town, love to have you. Reach out to us, 740-432-5605.
And I wanted to say, anytime you need information on the National Road or anything, even in our state, please visit the Guernsey County, our office, the Tourist Information Center. We're at 627 Wheeling Avenue, right across from Theo's.
Thank you.